Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask you if you have toothpicks passed out. I was given 2, but everyone has to have them for me to give you this teaching. You're going to pass them out now? Do we have them, our staff? Can you just tell me yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. While we're passing out the toothpicks, I will give you the theory of the use of toothpicks. So you can be seated. This is a teaching that El Moria told Mark to give to me. What you want to do is break off a piece of this toothpick, approximately, let's see, about 3/8, starting out with maybe 3/8, getting smaller. This is going to sit inside the gum and the center bottom tooth. So you have to get it exactly the right size. So I'm taking the pointed end of my toothpick now, and I'm putting it inside my front teeth in the center. Then I'm going to put the top underneath my 2 top front teeth. So you can hold it there with your tongue. Now, the purpose of this is to develop, this is not funny, this is an exercise. So you will have to pronounce everything very carefully when you do this. I have mine slightly too big. It has to be just right. It's good for enunciation. So the idea is to practice with it and then to practice without it. So we're starting to practice with it. First, when you get this set, is to say, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. See how much I have to do with my lips to do this? So I am creating strength in the movement of my mouth. I shouldn't have to be holding this in place with my tongue. I should be holding it in place only behind the top front teeth and the lower front teeth. So let's say it together. Peter Piper picked up. I don't want anybody saying this if they don't have the toothpick in their mouth. You don't count. You can't do this if you don't have your toothpick in place. Okay, you are pronouncing. This is for enunciation. Enunciation. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now you should not be saying that with ease. It should be very difficult. If it's easy, then you don't have it positioned right. If any TAs or people who know how to do this want to come up and look more closely, or if you don't want to put it on the screen, you can do that. But the idea is you have to do it right. So you can do A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. You can take any poem, anything you want to talk about at all. You can just go around with this in your mouth and forcing your muscles, all the muscles of the mouth, to work. Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed people's mouths, but I notice them. I notice all of people's features. And there is a typical person that is very amusing to me, because without this in their mouth, they talk like this. Well, I went downtown yesterday and I saw this thing over there, and It was a cow next to the road, and they never actually move their lips at all. It's the most fascinating thing you could ever see, right? So as soon as you take this out of your mouth, all of a sudden, your mouth is working so well that everything you're pronouncing is just wonderful. You're not slurring. And the goal is to practice this. Like we can do it with our decree that we were just giving. We love to give this decree quickly. We like to give it at a fast pace. This is going to train us to make each vowel combination and each consonant heard. So let's start with these estrellas we just gave with verse number 1. Put your toothpick back in if you haven't already. Can't do it unless your toothpick's in. That's the rule. Okay? Okay, it's the underneath. You're hitting the gum on the inside upper, and the gum on the inside lower. 2 teeth. That's where it stays in place, and you can use the tongue to steady it. Okay, so we would do it very methodically with our syllables. O beloved Estrella, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through, circle and sword of brightest blue. Come now, answer this my call. You can keep going. I have to just get my toothpick right. Us all, circle and sword of brightest blue, blaze now, raise now, shine right through. Oh, beloved Estrella, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through, circle and sword of brightest blue. Come now, answer this my call. Cutting life free from patterns unwise, burdens fall off while souls arise into thine arms of infinite love, merciful shining from heaven above. Answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. I can't get any toothpick for me to work. I don't know how I lost my touch on this, but it seems like they're not round, but kind of square. I've never had trouble doing this before. Anyway. You're supposed to be able to have the toothpick join the top and the bottom of the teeth without the tongue having to touch the toothpick. So the tongue does the speaking, and the toothpick just keeps the the upper and lower teeth at a proper place for speaking. Cutting life free from patterns unwise, burdens fall off while souls arise. Listen, separate your words. We don't want to hear a sing-song. You're trying to separate syllables, so you have very clear English. Wherever I lecture, in non-English speaking countries, they all say they can understand me. And that's because they've learned enough English, and I separate my words, so then they get it. The help of the Holy Spirit. This is impossible. It's too thick. Anybody have any ideas? They're too thick? Oh, beloved Astrea, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through, circle and sword of brightest blue. You have to separate every word and syllable. You have to say it very clearly. Improves your English and lets the world understand your English. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine right through. Cutting life free from unwise. Burdens fall off while souls arise. Into thine arms of infinite love, merciful shining from heaven above. Stop running your words together. You're doing this slowly to master syllables. Circle and sword of Astrea now shine. Blazing blue-white, my being refine. Stripping away all doubt and fear, faith and goodwill patterns appear. Come now, answer this my call. Lock. Are you using these muscles? You can't be using these muscles as hard as you can use them and be talking that fast. This is not an exercise in fastness. It's an exercise in enunciation. And the toothpick forces you to do that if you can get it in right. Try one more piece here. Okay. O beloved Astrea, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through of brightest blue. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine. Okay, I'll take that first chorus without the toothpick and see how much you have strengthened your mouth muscles. Just start talking normally. No, you're talking. Come on, you're talking right now. I want you to hear yourself talk and see how different it is since you exercised your cheek muscles. Okay, are you speaking better? Are you speaking more clearly? We'll do it some more. Let's go to another decree. Okay, let's take something else here. Anything. Okay, let's take Lanto's Prayer 2019. Lanto's Prayer. Put your toothpicks back in. Lanto's Prayer 20.19. In the name of Almighty God, I stand forth to challenge the night, to raise up the light. Are you working here? Working these muscles. I want these muscles working. To raise up the light, to focus the consciousness of Gautama Buddha. And I am the 1,000-petaled lotus flame. Did you say the D on petaled? I am the 1,000-petaled lotus flame. And I come to bear it in His name. I stand in life this hour, and I stand with the scepter of Christ's power to challenge the darkness, to bring forth the light, to ensoul from starry heights the consciousness of angels, masters, Elohim, sun centers, and of all of life that is the I am presence of each one. I claim the victory in God's name. I claim the light of solar flame. I claim the light. I am the light. I am victory. I am victory. I am victory. Wait a minute. If you look at a dictionary, victory is pronounced victory. It's not pronounced victory. Victory. I am victory. I am victory. I am victory. For the Divine Mother and the Divine Man-Child, and for the raising up of the crown of life, and the 12 starry focal points that rejoice to see the salvation of our God, right within my crown, right within the center of the sun of Alpha. It is done. It is done. Are you holding your mouth like mine? It is done. It's way out here, right? I'm stretching it. So it's a major accentuation of the syllables of the words we use. And right now it's very easy. It's very easy to speak quickly and carefully and to deliver a message without stumbling over our words. And that's the goal of the whole thing. And after you do the exercise a while, you're still doing this, which is, you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be doing this then without the toothpick. I remember I arrived at 6:30 in the morning in Bogota in the newsroom to be on the air for Columbia. And 6:30 is pretty early, you know. We started at 3:30 to prepare to get there. So here's this guy getting ready to deliver the news on TV, and he's going, all of his mouth exercises, you know, he'd been to school, he knew exactly, you know, how to work his muscles so that he wasn't going to stumble on his words. So I thought, well, I should start doing that one too. So this is something that if you practice it every day, people will understand you, you will communicate well. Every chalice of vowels embraced by consonants will form a cup, and in that cup you will pour the light of your heart, you will pour your decrees. And so as you get the mastery of working the mouth, working the jaw, working this part, then you can go back to a decree like Astreya's decree, and see how quickly you can say it with the toothpick, and then take the toothpick out and see how well you are still enunciating your words right after you've done that. We could do that right now. Let's see how we sound without the toothpick. Just with the first chorus. Now this should show an improvement in our enunciation. We'll only give it as fast as we can say the syllables together. Oh, beloved Astrea, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through. Will you look at me, please? That's the point. You have to look at me doing it. You know your words by heart, okay? Look at my mouth. Is it a big deal for people to see me? Because I'm teaching them and they can't see me all over there here. How much of a problem is it to pull down the screen? We need to do it sometime. But can you set it up for tomorrow? Just say yes or no.
We can do it right now.
Okay, well, we're going to keep going. So if you can see me, it would be good. Together. Oh, beloved Astrea, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through, circle and sword of brightest blue. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine right through. Cutting life free from patterns unwise. Burdens fall off while souls arise. Into thine arms of infinite love. Merciful shining from heaven above. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine right through. Circle and sword of Astrea now shine. Blazing blue white my being refine. Stripping away all doubt and fear. Faith and goodwill patterns appear. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine right through. Do not run your D's into the next word or in any way distort the D. The D has to be pronounced circle and sword. You have to close the sword. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Okay, then it's time to go back to the toothpick again. Together. Oh, beloved Astrea, may God purity. Did you say the D on the God? Oh, beloved Astrea, may God purity manifest here for all to see. God's divine will shining through, circle and sword of brightest blue. Come now, answer this my call. Lock thy circle round us all. Circle and sword of brightest blue. Blaze now, raise now, shine right through. You have any questions on this? As long as you feel like it. What? So that you can pronounce the way I'm pronouncing. Mine is, see, a little of each end goes inside the tooth to support the mouth. It's like, you know, if you have a stick you put in a lion's mouth when you don't want him to bite you, you know. Well, if he ever gets this on the screen, nobody will see it. That's too short. So you have to count the space from the top of the inside of the tooth to the bottom of the inside of the bottom tooth. This little sharp toothpick is going all the way up my front teeth behind them, and it's stopping right there at my gum. And the same with the bottom. It goes to the bottom of the gum of these teeth, down to here. What? No, you can't put it between your teeth. You have to put it, it has to go inside your mouth. These toothpicks aren't any good. It hurts your gums. It doesn't have to hurt your gums. You have to find a comfortable place. Behind the teeth and slightly resting on the upper inside gum and the lower inside gum. Well, I don't quite know how else to say it, except I used to use different kinds of toothpicks, that's all. That's the point. That's the point. The idea is to so enunciate that you do it naturally. So if you do it 5 or 10 minutes a day, you exercise your enunciation, and then you find yourself talking that way. You find a lot of people whose second or third language is English, is a foreign language. Is that doing anything for you? See, I can close my mouth, the toothpick doesn't move, I control it with the end of my tongue right there. And that's where I'm pronouncing, there. See? I feel like I'm in the dentist chair and 200 people are looking at me. So, if you speak clearly and separate your words, people whose native language is not English will understand your English if they've studied some English. But if you run it all together and you talk like you have mashed potatoes in your mouth, the British say that Americans always have mashed potatoes in their mouth. You know, they don't speak clearly. They look very much down upon American English, which they don't think is English, it's American. Anyway, we don't have to teach the British English, do we? We have to teach ourselves better enunciation for those who've studied English but are a foreign language. So I have this pretty well in there. It's not too comfortable, but it's not painful. It's really amazing what this will do for you. There's the fluidity of speech. You don't stutter because you're building the muscles of the mouth so that you can say any words without flattening them or speaking in a monotone. So I think it's a very useful tool, and I think for many more reasons that I may know, El Moria insisted that Mark train me in doing this. So that I think for the most part, I don't stumble when I'm speaking, and I speak clearly, and I make a point. So a part of etiquette is that we are responsible for making our friends, our guests, our audiences, our people that we want to bring into the teachings. We want to be able to convey to them not only our knowledge, but our love, our caring. And that is reflected in having nuances in your voice. Nuances in your voice that tell people you admire them, you respect them, you love them. They're all different ways of communicating, and the subtle changes in our voices, whether it's a lilt of happiness, whether it's a sadness, these things are very important. So it's another tool of communication that we need to have as speakers. And there are just lots and lots of people who really don't open their mouths much when they talk. So it's kind of disrespectful if you're talking in such a lazy way that the person you are talking to cannot even understand you. You know, you have to meet people all the way to them and not have them come to you. I mean, we are the ones that must reach out and give of ourselves. Can you hear in my voice and my enunciation that I'm not forcing it, but I am very clear in my diction. I'm very clear in what I'm saying. And if anyone knows American English, they can understand me. So that's what we want. We want people to understand us. So that's a very important preparation for when you do have to give long talks, because you can get quite tongue-tied. Your tongue can get in the way. You can get tired. Our jaws get tired. Our tongues get tired. But if we've done these exercises, we're not as much susceptible to fatigue, the fatigue in the way we project our message. So, do you have any questions?
How long did you use it for?
Well, it was shortly after I arrived in Washington, D.C. that Mark and Moria started me on this, and I did it for a while. I can say that I didn't have a problem in speaking well before I did it, but I greatly improved by having done it. I mean, everybody's going to improve by doing this. And people of any language are going to improve. I think I could understand our Spanish-speaking students more clearly if, for a while, they spoke to me slowly with a toothpick, so that I could know when a word stops and starts, which is always the thing about a foreign language. Words flow together. There are no spaces in English or in foreign languages. And that's the reason we don't understand people, because one word runs into another. So if those who are Spanish-speaking or Portuguese-speaking would teach us how to speak by allowing us to see their mouths and see their enunciation and see when one word and the next word follows, then I think we could learn foreign languages ourselves better. So we don't have to make any bigger deal of this thing than it is. It is what it is, and it's a very helpful technique. Shall we get on with our decrees, or do you have questions about the science of the spoken word this evening? Other aspects of the science of the spoken word? If you have a question, you can come to the mic.